Chiefs fans, many of you thought that the Chiefs lost last week versus the Buffalo Bills, but if you remember, I called that game the Disappointment Bowl. So both those teams coming in were having very disappointing seasons, and the Chiefs actually won the Disappointment Bowl because they were the more disappointing team last week, losing to the Buffalo Bills by a score of 20-17. And the climax of the Disappointment Bowl was that the Chiefs had an incredible play, a lateral thrown to Kadarius Toney for a touchdown that was brought back by a devastating offsides penalty by Kadarius Toney, where his toe was 2 inches past where it should have been on the line of scrimmage. And so the Chiefs won the Disappointment Bowl. They lost the game, and they, quite frankly, lost in perhaps the most disappointing fashion ever. So disappointment was the word for last week. And this week, I'm kind of going to look at other stretches the Chiefs have had similar to this current run that they're on. There's one thing about this Chiefs current stretch of 6 games that they've never really done before, and that's that they are averaging under 20 points per game with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. Over the last 6 games, the Chiefs are 4-2. They're scoring 19 points per game, and their defense is still playing well. They're allowing 20.5 points per game. So I went back through the history of Patrick Mahomes' career to see if there were any other times where the Chiefs lost 4 out of 6 games since he's been the starter. And sure enough, it's happened 2 other times. So I didn't expect it to be that many times, but the Chiefs have had these bad stretches with Mahomes as the quarterback 3 times. So this is not uncharted territory in terms of losing football games, but it is uncharted territory in terms of losing football games while also the offense is playing so poorly. So the other 2 times the Chiefs lost 4 out of 6 games with Patrick Mahomes as a starting quarterback. We'll start with 2021. That was during weeks 2 through 7. The Chiefs' offense averaged 25.8 points per game, and their defense gave up 29 points per game. After that stretch, going through weeks 2 through 7, the Chiefs rattled off 8 wins in a row, and then they lost in week 17 to the Cincinnati Bengals. And then to finish that season, they lost the AFC Championship game also versus the Bengals. Then in 2019, they had another really bad 6-week stretch where they, through weeks 5 through 10, they scored 24.8 points per game. The defense gave up 24.2 points per game. And then after that stretch, they won 9 games in a row. They won the Super Bowl. So they won 9 games in a row, and then they won the Super Bowl. They might have won more games in a row. So the Chiefs have had these bad 2 and 4 stretches over the course of 6 games multiple times during the Patrick Mahomes era, and they've always gone on a winning streak afterwards. What makes this year different is that the Chiefs' offense has not been playing very well during the streak. In years past, it had been the defense that was letting the team down, and now it's the offense that's letting the team down. And do I think the Chiefs have a winning streak in them to finish the season? Yes, I do, and that's because of their schedule. If they had more difficult opponents, I would have some reservations about them going on a winning streak. But we'll talk about their schedule in a little bit. Right now, I want to talk about their offense. So this is uncharted territory for the Chiefs, and you might think, okay, yeah, the offense just sucks. They just don't have the players, and this offense is not very good. But my argument is different from that. I don't think that this unit of players is terrible. I think they have good talent. I think that their focus and their discipline is incredibly bad. And here's why I'm saying that. The Chiefs are number 1 in the NFL with most offensive penalties. They've committed 53 offensive penalties this year so far. Comparatively speaking, the defense has only committed 24 penalties. So that's number 1 in the NFL. The Chiefs have the most offensive penalties in the NFL. The next closest team had 4 fewer, and the average team had around 30 to 35. 53 offensive penalties. Drive killers. Nextly, the Chiefs lead the league in dropped passes. with 26. So they're number one in offensive penalties, number one in drop passes, and neither of these things are helping them move the ball down the field. They're killing drives. And then lastly, the Chiefs are they have the 5th worst turnover percentage per drive in the NFL. Self-inflicted wound after self-inflicted wound after self-inflicted wound. This team, I wouldn't be surprised if they have any toes left because they've shot their feet so many times. So these are all things that are upstairs. These are mental problems. This is not a talent problem. This is being focused, staying on top of your game, and getting the job done when you need to get it done. And finally, someone asked Patrick Mahomes the question. I'm paraphrasing here, but they asked him, so it seems like there's been a lack of focus. Drop passes are up, penalties are up, attention to detail seems to be lacking. What role did losing Eric Bieniemy have to do with that? And Patrick Mahomes' answer, I thought, was very telling. He didn't really say that there was anyone on the Chiefs team who has stepped into that role that Eric Bieniemy was filling in terms of being the person who forces accountability. Mahomes said that a bunch of coaches have stepped up into that role, but it didn't sound like there was anyone like Bieniemy that was making the team be as accountable as Eric Bieniemy had been doing. So I think that the lack of discipline that we're seeing here could have something to do with the departure of Bieniemy. And that means for things to improve, somebody needs to take that role. And I think the best person on this team to take that role would be Patrick Mahomes. Last week, we saw him lose his cool versus the Buffalo Bills. And I know a lot of people in media were using that to kind of, I think, be jerks, for lack of a better term, and think negatively of Patrick Mahomes because of that. But I actually liked to see that fire from Mahomes. And if Mahomes is angry, I think it bodes well for the rest of the Chiefs team because it might get the offense's attention. And so someone has got to fill that role that Eric Bieniemy had left empty for the Chiefs, and someone has got to be the person that holds his team accountable. You've got wide receivers in the locker room when they're asked about the drop passes saying, yeah, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. It's not my fault. I think I'm good. And so there's just a major lack of accountability on this team. And I wonder how much Eric Bieniemy's absence has to do with this problem. So once again, they're number one in most offensive penalties, number one in most drop passes, and then number 5 in turnover percentage, the 5th worst turnover percentage. So these are all mental problems that can be fixed. I don't know if it's going to get fixed, but going to the end of the season, the Chiefs right now are 2 games back for the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff picture. The 2 teams ahead of them both have 10-3 records, the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens. And so the Chiefs need both Miami and Baltimore to lose 2 games while the Chiefs win out. Fortunately, the Chiefs have 4 games versus very winnable opponents. They go to New England this Sunday. Then they have the Raiders at home, the Bengals at home, and then they go to the Chargers. So every single one of these teams they're facing should have a backup quarterback starting the game for them. So that bodes well for the Chiefs. In addition to that, both Miami and Baltimore have some very difficult games on their schedule. So Miami plays the Jets at home, Dallas at home, then they've got Baltimore on the road, and then they have Buffalo at home. Baltimore, in the meantime, has Jacksonville. They go to Jacksonville. They go to San Francisco. They have Miami at home, and then they have Pittsburgh at home. So both Miami and Baltimore need to lose 2 games. And I think the most realistic way for the Chiefs to get that number 1 seed would be for the Dolphins to lose to the Cowboys in 2 weeks. And then the Dolphins lose to the Ravens the week after that. And then Baltimore, they would need to lose to Jacksonville this weekend. And then the weekend after that, they would need to lose to the 49ers. So if that happens, then the Chiefs have a shot of getting that number 1 seed at 12-5, but they have their work cut out for them, and they need help from other teams. So I do think it's possible. And the big game for me next week will be Baltimore at Jacksonville. I think if the Ravens win that game, I give the Chiefs a 20% chance of getting the number 1 seed. If the Ravens lose that game, I would give the Chiefs about a 40% chance to get the number 1 seed. So that's how I think that the playoff race is going to shake out. And we've never seen road playoff Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it's better than home playoff Patrick Mahomes. We don't know. But I just want to reiterate with this video, the Chiefs still have a chance of getting the number 1 seed. Pardon me, I'm kind of cracking my voice there, but the Chiefs still have a chance at that number 1 seed. But offensively, if they don't get it together up here mentally, then they're not going to make a deep playoff push. I could see this team either losing in the divisional round or losing in the AFC Championship game. So these last 4 weeks, I want angry Patrick Mahomes to take this team over, and the group as a whole start taking accountability for their mistakes, because these numbers here are shocking in terms of what they're leading the NFL in regards to their offense. Total lack of discipline, total lack of focus, and these are things that are correctable. So I wish I had better news for you guys. The Chiefs play the New England Patriots, and there's word come out that Bill Belichick may be getting fired at the end of this year. So we'll see what happens there. But the Chiefs should go into New England and win this game. If they don't, then anything is at play, even in the AFC West division. The Broncos are making a push. So Chiefs win this game. I think they win the AFC West, and I think they've got a shot at the number 1 seed. But let me know down in the comments, what do you think is the cause of the lack of discipline on this Chiefs offense? Do you think it's losing Eric Bieniemy? Do you think he has a role in that? Do you think it's something else? Do you think it's Matt Nagy is not, being that authoritative source? What do you think about the Chiefs' chances of making the playoffs, making that number 1 seed? Obviously, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but what do you think about their chances of getting that number 1 seed? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're still trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. We're inching our way every day, closer and closer to that goal. So I just want to say I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good weekend. Let's go Chiefs, and let's root against the Dolphins and the Ravens. With that, this is Gary signing out. Take it easy.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.